I said some profound things prior to turning on the microphone, but I'm going to go ahead and skip those. It's our special start time for the Byrne SCIP meeting, and it's a pleasure to be here in Palm Springs, and we are honored to have the mayor here today to do some opening remarks and welcome us to this fabulous city. How lucky are you to get to be mayor here? How lucky are they to have you? If you wouldn't mind joining us at the podium.
Good morning. It is a pleasure to be here, and this is my hometown. I'm a second-generation resident, so I do truly feel very lucky to be the mayor of Palm Springs. So thank you so much for having me. To Chair Penner and Executive Director Howard and the board members, welcome to Palm Springs. This city is so grateful that you chose Palm Springs to have your meeting. And, for me personally, it's really important that you're here because we've done a lot of work in the city of Palm Springs to do violence prevention, to really make sure that we're working closely with all of our residents and our visitors. We want Palm Springs to be an inclusive place. We want people to feel welcome and accepted here and safe here. We have a large LGBTQ community, and it's been paramount for us to make sure that that community feels that this is their city as well. And we've been expanding those efforts and trying to make sure that everyone, regardless of their race or their ethnicity, feels that as well. So I know that our police department has been doing robust work in terms of reaching out to the different communities, holding town halls, making sure that they're available to speak with residents. And that kind of community policing really makes a huge difference in our city. And that was nothing that I actually have prepared here, but I did want to share that. But I do appreciate the work that you do to implement the legislature's will to have regulatory authority over the jails and the juvenile hall systems. We feel strongly, as I said, about improving our city and about social justice here in Palm Springs. And the work that you're doing to prevent violence and reduce recidivism is vitally important. I was just telling our chief recently about a friend of mine who was formerly incarcerated. He spent quite a bit of time in jail, and he's from here in Palm Springs. And when he was released, he really changed his life. And now he spends a lot of time talking to young people within the community about his experiences and letting them know that there is another way. And he works at a local elementary school, and he shakes every hand of the children that come in. He gives them high fives. He tells them they're wonderful. And it's so moving to see that. Every time you see him, he says hello. He's just well known in our community because he really cares, and he doesn't want anyone to experience what he did. And that's what the Cal VIP program really does, right? You're giving money to communities to make sure that we can do that work to prevent violence, and also to show that there are other options for people who have been released from being incarcerated. When we show compassion and care to people, even if they've made mistakes, it just makes such a huge difference. We have all done things in our past that we're not proud of. And some people have done worse things that have gotten them into jail, but that doesn't mean they're bad forever. So anything that you all can do to continue that work, to support communities, to support people, and to acknowledge their inherent good, I deeply appreciate. And I know that the city of Palm Springs and our council appreciates as well. So thank you so much for being here. And if there's anything that we can do to support you while you're here, please do let us know. Thank you, and have a great meeting.
And Mayor, I just want to extend my congratulations. First of all, I thought everybody was ordered to shake our hands and be nice to us, because since we've been here, that's all we've gotten in the city of Palm Springs. Everywhere we go, people are friendly and greet us. I'd also like to compliment you on your excellent taste in police chiefs. Having Chief Mills on our board is really been excellent choice on the governor's part. He is not only personally engaging, but he is professionally prepared and ready to go. And hopefully by the end of this meeting, I'm almost can assure you that we'll be able to give a grant to Palm Springs for the organized retail theft. And it was not a simple competition. It was hard fought, and I'm so happy that Palm Springs prevailed. So it's a day to celebrate. Some excellent things going on, and thank you so much for making time for us this morning.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And one small thing, when we were choosing a police chief, we did have a community and staff panel to decide. And so we had community members from across Palm Springs who sat in and gave their opinion. And let me tell you, those community members, if they ever have something to say to Chief Mills about anything regarding the police department, they tell him, I was on that panel and I chose you. But I think that really made a difference too, and just how we welcomed our chief, and we are really proud to have him here. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to turn to the Byrne SCIP portion of the meeting. As you know, this is a two-part meeting. We'll start the BSCC meeting at 10 o'clock. Prior to that, we're going to do this business. And I think we have a few things to address. First, I see remotely Supervisor Chavez. Good morning. How are you? Do we take roll in this meeting, Adam, or are we going to do recusals first? How would you like to proceed?
I think we can go ahead and take the roll, Madam Chair, and then we'll do the recusals.
Okay.
Chair Penner,
Present.
Mr. McCumber.
And actually, I'm going to interject real quick, Adam, because I'd like the other SCIP advisory members to. Actually, I'm sorry. We'll
Okay,
take the.
Let's recuse, bring the new panel members up, and then take roll for the Byrne SCIP.
That sounds good. Thank you. So in this matter, I believe Sheriff Dykes, Sheriff Groudon, Chief Mills, Chief Haynes, and Chief Richard are going to recuse. Supervisor Chavez, I think you may also want to recuse on this matter, as well as there could be a local grant component to this discussion.
Thank you. I'll recuse. Thank you for that.
And we'll
Thank you.
find you when we're done, Supervisor Chavez. See you at 10. All right, we vacated some seats up here, so I would invite members of the Byrne SCIP panel to come up and take a spot. Alan, I see you're right here next to me, and we have some name tags for others. Adam's adjusting those now. There you go. Good morning. You just had a birthday, didn't you, Nancy? I think you're here. No? Adam? Okay. Well, they didn't want you close to me. Apparently we don't behave well together. Thank you. Thank you. We're meeting in two public locations today. One, of course, right after I finish this. We're meeting in two public locations today, one which is here and the other which is in the Government Center in San Jose when we begin the Byrne SCIP. I guess Byrne SCIP isn't going to be public in San Jose because Supervisor Chavez is.
Well, it does, if there are
remains
any
public?
public members there,
Yeah,
they need to
thank you.
have access.
All right.
So,
All right. And Adam, sorry, now you can take the roll.
Chair Penner,
Present.
Mr. McCumber,
Present.
Mr. Johnson, Mr. Groudon, Mr. Dykes, Ms. Chavez, Mr. Haynes, Mr. Richard, Mr. Mill, recused. Ms. Bard is absent. Mr. Budnick is absent. Ms. Zaragoza,
Present.
Ms. Kumpian,
Here.
Mr. Avila,
Present.
Ms. Dauber Griffin,
Present.
Mr. Slater,
Present.
Ms. Tuatama.
Present.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Good news today is we have two new members of the board present, and we're going to do the oath of office now prior to starting this. And I'd like to welcome and give our.
Madam Chair, we're gonna skip the oath for this.
Okay, so it's smooth as silk right now. All right, all right.
And we're remote.
I knew it was a problem when my notes were in a wrong color. Usually they're blue. When they're yellow, things don't go well. Okay, we're going to strike that last thought and move right to the agenda at hand. And let's see. Adam, do you want to do instructions?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. We are meeting both in person and virtually, and we will support public participation during this meeting through the Zoom webinar platform. Board members and board advisory SCIP members. For those participate, I could skip this part. Regarding voting, all agenda items that require a vote will require a roll call vote at the end of each agenda item. Board members in the room, please remember to turn off your microphones when you are not speaking, and please remember to speak into your microphones so that all on Zoom may hear you. Members of the public, we will give the members of the public the opportunity to comment after the presentation of each agenda item and prior to the board voting on an item. Agenda item 5 is the opportunity for any member of the public to make a comment on any agenda items or other comments in general. We will call the members on Zoom first, then members in San Jose, then members here in Palm Springs. You will have 2 minutes for your comment. Members of the public will not have the ability to unmute yourself during discussion until the chair opens it up for public comment. You must raise your hand on Zoom or send a request through public comment at bscc.ca.gov. This is also available on our website. If you're calling by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, dial *6 to unmute yourself. I will call on those who have raised their hand and ask you to unmute yourself. If you raise your hand after we close the queue, your name will be placed in agenda item 5 for public comments. Your hands will be lowered as soon as I call your name. Public participants in the room, please complete a public comment card by the door and provide it to me during the meeting. As always, we thank you for your patience. Madam Chair, that concludes my intro.
Thank you, thank you. And let me begin by welcoming 3 new members to this board that are with us today. We had to have specific slots filled that covered areas of interest to Byrne SCIP. And I'd like to say good morning to, is that Juan Alva over there? I see you way over there. Chief Operating Officer of the Garden Pathway, which is a victim service representative. Welcome, Juan. You have anything you'd like to say?
No, just thank you. Bakersfield thanks you for allowing me to represent our community and to represent victims of community violence and gun violence.
It's great to have you. Someone that's familiar to all of us that we've known over the years is Nancy O'Malley. She is from Alameda County, a district attorney or past district attorney for a very, very long time. Thank you for making the journey today. And Nancy, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Thank you, Chair Penner. I am happy to be here, and I'm very happy to support all of the work that this SCIP will do.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And another familiar face to many of us, a blast from the past, I'd like to say, is Alan Slater. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the Superior Court, past Chief Executive Officer of the Superior Court in Orange County. And Alan, it's great to see you. And would you have any opening remarks you'd like to say?
Just echo what Nancy said. I'm very pleased to be able to participate on behalf of the judicial branch in this very worthwhile program. And so I'm looking forward to working with you.
Thank you, thank you. So those are our new members. The existing members, I think everybody's here and present from the other 3 specialty members. We have Andrea, I see you. Luisa, we're proud to have you. You had no choice. You work for us. And I think we'll begin the meeting. And Ian, are you ready to come forward? Thanks.
Give me just a moment to get my PowerPoint set up.
All right. Anything you want to change on this agenda while we're waiting for Ian at all? I'm open.
Just want to flag that you'll get to hear all the instructions about Zoom at 10 o'clock once again.
Super
Isn't that going to be
excited.
neat?
We'll take roll.
It's going to be, we'll do roll again.
If we didn't do a perfect job the first time, the second time will be smashingly perfect.
Looks like we got it in one. All right.
Wow, I just want to compliment the audio visuals in this room, or I can actually even read them. Yeah.
All right. Greetings, advisory board members. My name is Ian Silva, and I'm a field representative assigned to the Corrections Planning and Grants Program Division. I'm before you today to discuss and request approval of BSCC's program and budget plan for the fiscal year 2022-2023 Byrne State Crisis Intervention Program Grant, or Byrne SCIP. As you may recall, the federal solicitation for this grant program requires that the program and budget plan be approved by your advisory board before we proceed. The plan that we are discussing today is the result of two prior advisory board meetings. The first meeting held on February 9th of 2023. At that meeting, the advisory board was briefed on the Byrne SCIP grant in general and BSCC's preliminary plan. At the second meeting held on April 13th of this year, the advisory board provided guidance and direction, which was incorporated into the plan being presented today. At that second meeting, I also had notified the advisory board that the Legislative Analyst's Office had published a recommendation that the legislature direct the BSCC on how Byrne SCIP funds were to be used, which could have impacted the developing plan. However, in the end, the legislature did not provide any direction, and we may thus proceed as we've discussed prior. That brings us to the plan that's being presented for your approval today. To review for our newer members, the BSCC Byrne SCIP program and budget plan is intended to develop a multi-pronged approach to decreasing gun violence in California, supporting local jurisdictions in their efforts to improve firearms relinquishment procedures, and supporting the enhancement of collaborative court programs that address behavioral health issues with a focus on people who are at higher risk for gun violence. The plan proposes implementation by way of two sets of subawards, which closely mirror the pass-through requirements established by the Bureau of Justice Assistance in the federal solicitation. One set of subawards would go to the Judicial Council of California, while the other would go to units of local government. The subawards to the Judicial Council would be for a total of approximately $17.3 million, including a set-aside of approximately $997,000 for state courts that serve California's less than $10,000 jurisdictions. These subawards would fund collaborative courts that address behavioral needs for people in the criminal court system who are likely to use guns or be the victims of gun violence, as well as an operational review to identify best practices for firearm relinquishment in criminal courts. The Judicial Council would award funding to state courts, including those that serve the less than $10,000 jurisdictions, via a competitive request for proposals. The Council's Collaborative Justice Courts Advisory Committee would advise on the process and approve the RFP. That committee will also approve funding recommendations from a scoring panel comprised of Justice Council staff familiar with collaborative courts, mental health treatment, and California law related to gun safety. At this time, I'd like to pause for any discussion or questions about these subawards before I move on to discuss the subawards directed at local governments. I am seeing no request for discussion, so I will move on. We can always go back, of course. In terms of the second set of subawards, BSCC would administer these subawards in the amount of approximately $10.7 million. These subawards would be offered to units of local government by way of a competitive request for proposals to fund program activities, including behavioral health deflection for those at risk to themselves or others, funding for law enforcement agencies to safely secure, store, track, and return relinquished guns, and communication, education, outreach, and public awareness. I would like to pause briefly to note that BSCC staff has received a number of emails from members of the public encouraging the use of Byrne SCIP funds for education and outreach, which I recently shared with the advisory board members. Given that this is an activity explicitly allowed in the Byrne SCIP solicitation, staff recommends the inclusion of this activity, which might in the RFP for local governments, which might benefit for such funding for such efforts. California's cities and counties would be eligible to apply for this RFP. Recognizing that different sized jurisdictions have different needs and capacities, the RFP would offer two categories in which applicants could compete. The first would be for small scope projects of up to $500,000, to which approximately $3.2 million would be allocated. The second category would be for larger scope projects of up to $1 million, to which approximately $7.5 million would be allocated. This division of allocations would prevent smaller projects from having to compete with larger scope projects in the RFP. Finally, the RFP would require a project to set aside 5% of their awards for data collection and the production of a local evaluation report. This requirement is being recommended in light of the advisory board's wish to be able to receive project data and results, as was expressed in the advisory board's first meeting. To again review the overall plan, the proposed plan would allocate Byrne SCIP funding in two sets of subawards. The first subaward of approximately $17.3 million would go to California's Judicial Council to expand and enhance collaborative courts and to conduct an operational review on best practices for firearm relinquishment. The second set of subawards, totaling approximately $10.7 million, would be allocated to California cities and counties to fund behavioral health deflection programs, law enforcement agencies storage, tracking, and return of relinquishment guns programs, and outreach activities. Once the plan is approved and the plan and the related documents will be submitted to the Bureau of Justice Assistance for their approval, after which BSCC can move forward with implementation of the plan. And with that review, staff recommends the advisory board approve the Byrne SCIP program and budget plan, including the related attachments 1 through 4, and authorize the chair to sign the Byrne SCIP advisory board letter of approval, which is attachment 4. With this recommendation, it remains for me to thank the advisory board members for their input and guidance during this process, and of course, make myself available for any questions or further discussions you might have.
Any questions, further discussion? I do have one thing to say. Eloise, I messed up your name and I just need to put that on the record. We've had so many discussions about pronouncing names correctly, and I do it to our own staff. That's really naughty. Nothing here. Anything in Zoom, any public comment that we might want to address?
We have none at this time.
Looking in the room, is there anyone that would like to make a public comment here?
If I may, Madam Chair.
Apparently, Director Howard would like to.
Well, I only want to add my thanks to our terrific field rep, Ian Silva, for all the work that he's done and connecting with advisory committee members on what the plan is, what the process is. This is, as noted, with maybe a little clunky start, something different. This new legislation that Congress passed last early summer, it's important enough to Congress that we have this separate special advisory board come together to make sure there's the right kind of input and leadership into the plan. And I'm just very grateful to all of you that we're here today and appreciate the input and the time that you've put in.
Absolutely.
And thank you all for being here.
And Ian, thank you. This was no simple process. I can assure you there were lots of discussions, special set meetings, and getting special members to the board meeting. So thanks to everyone for doing that and for all your hard work. Anything further? Okay. I think we've concluded this portion. Wait, council always has a little something. for us.
I would entertain a motion to approve the staff recommendation and a vote, Madam
Thank you.
Chair.
Oh, my goodness.
Proudly so moved.
Okay. Adam? We have a motion and a second? It's really fun when we catch him off guard. Usually it's me.
Who was the one?
Nancy.
Okay. I'm sorry, not familiar with name. Chair Penner,
Aye.
Mr. McCumber,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Ms. Zaragoza,
Aye.
Ms. Kumpion,
Aye.
Mr. Avila,
Aye.
Ms. Dauber Griffin,
Aye.
Ms. O'Malley,
Aye.
Mr. Slater,
Aye.
Ms. Tuatama,
Aye.
Mr. Groudon, Mr. Dykes, Ms. Chavez, Mr. Haynes, Mr. Richard, Mr. Mills recused. Madam Chair, the motion carries.
Thank you. And thank you, council. I think we can safely end this item now.
I believe we can adjourn the advisory.
Thank you. We adjourn this meeting. Thank you.